Happy Sunday. I'm going to link the Spotify playlist that I made right below today's live video, as I always do, in case you decide you'd like to listen along. Okay, just put it there for you. And we'll give everyone, just till about 8 o'clock, just after, till we actually get started. But we're going to start actually lying down on our bellies this morning. So if you're here early and you're all ready to go, you can go ahead and lie down on your bellies and get nice and comfortable. Make sure you have your water. If you need a towel, any other props. If you listen to music, that you have that all ready to go, because we'll get started in just another minute or two. So good morning, everyone. Good day, good evening, depending on when you're logging on. It is Sunday morning right now, so happy Sunday, happy new week. Welcome, welcome. My name is Erica. I'm going to be guiding you through your weekly yoga practice. So we are just about at 8 o'clock. Give everyone just a few more moments to get settled and logged in. But we are getting started this morning lying down on our bellies. So if you are not there already, you can lie down. I'll meet you there in just a moment. You can bring your arms, whatever's comfortable for you. If you want them straight out to a T, or to cactus, which would be 90-degree angles like L's, like football goalposts. Even down by your side is another option, but I really want to open this heart space today. So I would recommend, if it feels okay for you, as you're lying on your belly, it doesn't matter which cheek is to the mat. Pick one. We'll switch it, in a few moments. And arms to cactus, and just close your eyes and get as comfortable as you can and settle in. I'm going to start my music here really quietly in the background. There we go. So make sure you have everything you need before you get too comfortable. And just take a few deep breaths and do your best to settle in. Hopefully feeling really calm and supported when your front side is connected to the earth. Sometimes when we're on our backs, we feel a little bit vulnerable. There's like a baby shake and startle, right? So when we're face down, it brings us some grounding. And my goal in planning class this week was to create a practice that would be grounding and heart opening. And I read something that not only came at the perfect time this week, but it also supports the theme of grounding and heart opening. And it said, when storms come, it's even more important to anchor into practices that settle your waves. We've certainly endured many, metaphorical storms over the last 10 months or so. And it's really important in these uncertain and often trying times that you find what practices settle your waves. Maybe that's yoga. Maybe that's you hopping on this class every week. Maybe it's something completely different. As long as you know what's working for you. You guys can gently, if you have one cheek to the mat, you can gently just reverse it so the opposite cheek is to the mat, keeping everything else exactly as it is. Good, settling in there. There are so many things that are out of our control, but what we do have total control over are the choices that we make about how we care for ourselves, both physically and mentally, which is always important, but even more so, when times can get tough. So find whatever it is that settles your waves, and hopefully we can do a little bit of that this morning. So I'm going to meet you on my belly, arms to cactus. You guys should all have your second cheek down. If you didn't already switch, go ahead and make that switch. Take a few more breaths. Then I want us to take a nice full body stretch on our belly. So if your legs aren't touching, bring them together, touch, make sure the toes are untucked. Extend the arms out in front of you. And just reach like you're being stretched in opposite directions. Something that we kind of naturally do when we wake up. You find that you stretch, elongate your body. So go ahead and take a moment just to do that here. And then we're just going to keep our legs exactly as they are. And we're going to bring our forearms down to the mat in front of us into Sphinx pose. So my forearms are kind of in that number 11. And now my heart is lifted. You might feel a gentle back bend here. Really think about shining your heart, lifting your chin, maybe even slightly lifting your gaze. If this is too much, you can widen the legs a little bit, which will take a little bit of the pressure off your back. But if it's okay, keep them close together. Good. Now we're just waking up the body, and it's really early in our practice. So I'm going to offer you another option. If it's too much, you do not need to take it. But maybe pressing through the palms, starting to straighten, or maybe even just slightly straightening the arms as you lift the chest and get a little bit of a deeper back bend. And again, legs wider is less pressure on the back. So just a nice, gentle, early back bend, knowing that if this is too much for you, coming back to the forearms, back to our Sphinx. And then gently lowering back, meeting anyone who's already there in our Sphinx pose. Let's bring a bend into the knees, just very gently dropping the feet side to side like windshield wipers. Loosening up that lower back area. Good. Meeting back center. And then we're just going to start to lift, coming into a hero's pose. So bent legs. You can actually untuck the toes, sit the sits bones back on the heels. Top body, core is nice and engaged, chest is lifted. This is our hero's pose. Now, if you want to tuck the toes and get a little bit of that foot stretch here, you can. It's more of an active pose this way. Completely up to you. I'm going to get there eventually. For me, it's so early. My toes are untucked and I'm just kind of settled in. Good. And maybe take a moment here. Bring the hands to prayer heart center. Close the eyes if you'd like to set an intention for your practice. Maybe for your day or your week. Something that you'd like to bring into your heart, into your mind, that you're grateful for. And once you've set that intention, just lifting the arms, maybe even lifting the sits bones away from the heels, releasing that out into the universe, and then slowly lowering back down. We're going to get into some arm stretches here. So let's bring the right arm across the body. And we're going to hook the left elbow toward that right elbow. Palms are open. Gaze can come slightly off that right shoulder. Should get a nice stretch here along that right shoulder. Maybe even through the tricep a little bit. Kind of like when we thread the needle. We're just using our arm now to help deepen that stretch rather than leaning on the earth. Good. Make sure your breath is slow and steady. Eyes can stay open or closed, whatever is feeling better for you today. Just listen to your body. Let's take one more breath. Good, and we're going to stick with this right arm and just switch it slightly. So the right arm's going to reach behind you like you're patting yourself on the back. Now you have two options here. You can reach that left hand behind the back to see if they touch. Mine are not even close. You can use a towel here to get them to touch. Or you can just stay here. If this is too much, release the left hand and just reach for the right elbow to gently guide that right hand further down your back. So lots of options here. I always tell you to listen to your body. See what feels good, see what doesn't. We're all different from each other, but we're all different from ourselves day to day. Good. Take one more breath, whichever variation you have. Good. Release it, shake out the arms. Let's see if we can interlace our hands at our low back and just draw those fists further down. Really shine your heart. Get a nice stretch in the arms, a very gentle bend in the back. Nothing too intense yet. We'll build. We'll get there. Good. And then release that and shake that out. We'll bring the left arm across the body. Right arm hooks underneath. So both palms are open and are facing the back. Good. Using my right arm to put a little gentle pressure on my left, closer to my body. And gentle gaze off the left shoulder. Good. Make sure you're breathing. Let's take one more full breath here. Nice, deep, slow, steady inhales and controlled, slow exhales. Good, and then we'll switch that stretch again. So this time, left arm reaches behind like you're going to pat yourself on the back. You know your options. Maybe that right hand reaches to meet the left, and I'll tell you, I am way closer. I'm making contact. I'm not gripping. That just goes to show you how asymmetrical we can be, right, from side to side for so many reasons. The way we sleep, the way we carry things, carrying a purse on one shoulder or not. It's so many variables come into play here. Just our natural anatomy. Good. And you know you have the option here, if this is too much, to release that right hand and just reach over to gently pull that left elbow so you feel your left hand just gently walk down the back. Good. Take one more full breath. Good. And let's slowly release that. Good. Let's lift the sits bones away from the heels. We're going to get to another very gentle back bend here. I like to put my hands right on my low back, like I'm putting it almost into jeans pockets. Toes are untucked here. And very gently, I'm going to start to lean the hips forward. And I'm going to start to lift my chest and let my head fall to the back. Now, this is a very gentle camel pose. If you have a full camel, if you've done this before, don't try it if you haven't, and you're experienced with this and you want to reach for the heel grab variation, you can, but it's really early. I would recommend sitting right here, dropping the head, lifting the chin, gently pressing the hips forward, closing the eyes. Nice, very gentle back bend here. Good. For one more full breath. And then slowly, don't come too fast, you might get dizzy, lifting out of that. And we're just going to plant the hands in front of us, finding our tabletop pose. Good. So in tabletop, as always, we're on all fours. Wrists are in a straight line down from the shoulders. Knees straight line down from the hips, so we're not leaning forward or back. Toes are untucked to start. Pull in that core, suck in that belly, fingers nice and spread. Sounds like a lot of cues, right, for just a simple pose. But we're here in our tabletop. We want to make sure we are aligned correctly. Good. So let's step those right toes toward the back of the mat. They can connect. Maybe a very gentle calf stretch as you push off the ball of that foot. Good. And then we're going to take our left toes just very slightly out to the side, bringing the left hand center as we stack shoulders and stack hips into a modified side plank. I'm going to take this from the side if we need a better view here. So we're in a modified side plank. Shoulders are stacked on top of each other, hips are stacked on top of each other. Okay, and this is a pose where you have so many options. You can stay right here. Maybe you drop the bicep over the ears or even move the arm a little bit. All good options. Don't take them long. Just see what feels good. Maybe just rolling the wrist. And if you want to invite a balance in here, you can by lifting the right toes off of the earth. Good. One other option I really like here, takes a little balance. If you want to get a little quad stretch in while we're here, bending that right knee, reaching for the outer edge of the right foot with the right hand, and drawing the heel closer to the glute. So I'm going to give you a couple of breaths here to explore this pose and its variations. See what feels good for you this morning. Don't rush through anything. Take your time. We're just warming up. Good. If you're doing anything that needs to be evened out, go ahead and do that. Good. And then we're going to press off that left hand so we can lift the top body, finding ourselves in gate pose. Now, you're probably the other direction on your mat. I'm facing this way just so you can see. And we're going to take a nice little side body stretch. So right hand down the right leg. Left arm frames out the left ear. Just walk those fingertips down closer to your toes. Nice little inner thigh stretch. Nice side body stretch. Good. Gazing off that left arm. Good. One more full breath. Take that last final inhale and exhale. Good. And then slowly we're going to release out of this. You guys will be back into your tabletop pose. In our tabletop pose, let's take a cat-cow. Move that spine. So on your inhale, drop your belly, lift your gaze, maybe tuck the toes. Good. Next, exhale breath. If the toes are tucked, untuck them. Press through those palms as you round your spine, and the gaze comes inward, lifting the spine like an angry cat on Halloween. Good. And then releasing back to our neutral tabletop. Good. This time the left toes step to the back. Good. Let them meet your mat. Maybe get that gentle calf stretch. Maybe invite some movement, some gentle rocks. Good. Good. And then we're going to prepare to take that modified side plank on this side too. So stepping those right toes out to the side like a little kickstand. Right palm, fingers nice and spread, come center. And that left arm peels up high to the sky, stacking shoulders, stacking hips. Good. Again, I'm going to change my view just so you guys can see if you need to. You have a visual to refer to. Good. And then you know you have these options with these wrist movements, maybe some bigger arm circles. Try to mirror what you did on the first side. Don't rush anything even though you know where we're going. We want to take our time here. Good. Maybe dropping that left arm to frame out the ear, the nice long line of energy from the fingertips to the toes. If you took that balance on the first side, you can. Especially if you attempted that quad stretch, you want to make sure you hit that here too on side two as well. Good. Don't hold your breath in any of this. Our breath is our guide in our yoga practice. Good. Taking another 2 to 3 breaths here just to match what you did on side one. So often we rush through side two. We don't want to shortchange this other side, right? Good. So making sure you're even with whatever movements you're taking. Good. And then we're going to lift for that gate pose. Left leg out to the side, arms to a T. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, it brings us down for that side body stretch. So left fingertips down the left leg, right bicep frames out the ear. Good. Get a nice inner thigh stretch here on the left side. Nice side body stretch all the way down the right side of your body. Good. Final breath. Good. Very slowly and gently we release. We meet back in our tabletop pose. One more cat-cow. So inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze, tuck the toes. Exhale, untuck, press through the palms. Spine comes high to the sky, gaze comes inward. Good. We meet back with that neutral spine. Let's tuck our toes and slowly lift our hips as we lower our heels, finding our first downward facing dog. Good. Let's take a few moments to get comfortable here. So first thing, make sure your head is in line with your neck and your spine. You don't want to crane it in any direction. So let it hang heavy here. Make sure your fingertips are nice and spread. Think about lifting your hips slightly as you lower your heels. Gently melting your chest back towards your thighs to get that nice upside down V shape. Maybe pedaling out the feet here. Maybe gentle shake of the head, yes and no. I find myself sometimes like dipping one side then the other. Just take whatever movements you need to in this pose to get nice and comfortable here. Maybe comfortable is not the right word. But you know, get used to it. Gotta take a few more breaths to even out or take whatever other movements you need. Meeting back center if you're not already there. And taking a nice slow walk to the top of our mat. So one small step at a time as the feet make their way to meet the hands. Top body stays hanging heavy here. We're in our first forward fold. Okay, we haven't really done any hamstring work yet, so your legs might be really tight in the back. That's okay. Bring a gentle bend, even if you need a deep bend, into the knees. Just let the top body hang heavy, and slowly as the body starts to warm up and wake up, you might find that you're able to straighten the legs more. Okay, but listen to your body. Honor where it is. Don't force anything. We always have options in these poses. Let your head hang heavy again. I say get rid of the wrinkles in the back of your neck a lot. That means I don't want you looking up. If you need to take a quick gaze up to get a visual, fine. But listen to the cues and let the head hang heavy. You should be really kind of looking at your feet or through your legs even. Let's take one more breath here, and then we're going to take, on our next inhale, a halfway lift. So hands come to the shins, flat back, shine your heart for just a breath. And on the exhale, release and fold a little deeper. Let your breath guide you once more. Good. Next inhale breath, upward salute. So again, nice and slow, one vertebrae at a time. We start to rise. Inhale, the arms come overhead, nice and wide, nice and slow. Back up so you can see me. Good. This time, once the hands are up, we're actually going to interlace them behind our head. Again, really pull those elbows apart. Really shine your heart. Suck in that belly, nice and tall through the spine, through the core. Good. Take a nice inhale breath here. And then exhale. We're going to slowly fold with this hand variation. If you want to release it at any point, you are welcome to. But I would encourage you to try to fold with it here. But maybe even bring the stance a little bit wider if that makes you feel a little more stable or secure. Good. We're here for a few breaths. Keep the hand variation and release it whenever you want. We're all going to release it in another 2 breaths. If you still have your hands interlaced the back of your head, let's release them to the mat. Whether your feet are close together or further apart, one at a time, we're going to step them toward the back of our mat. We're into our high plank pose, top of a push-up. And then slowly we lower the heels as we lift the hips, making any adjustments we need as we're in our first downward facing dog. Good. Again, take whatever movements you need to get comfortable here. Good. And then let's lift that right leg high to the sky for our 3-legged dog. I say high to the sky, but in reality, wherever you want it to go. Maybe the toes stay connected if your balance isn't on point today. Maybe it just lifts hip height. If you have that range of motion, lifting it a little bit higher. Good. Let's bend our knee here and open that hip a little bit. Good. So that right knee bends, heel to the glute. Maybe you move it around a little bit. Maybe you just let it bend and open. Good. Let's square off the hips. Let's bring our knee in toward the nose, that angry cat back again, high on the left toes. And then we're going to step that right foot between the hands, finding our low lunge. Taking a moment here to get set up in this foundation pose of so many others. So the right foot is fully connected to the earth, high on the left tippy toes. Shoulders and hips square to the front. You can see I have peace fingers down to the mat. They can stay there. They can come to blocks if you have them, or they can hover. Really engage the inner thighs and the core to help with this hovered variation. You don't want to rest the top body on that right thigh. Good. Good. Squeeze it all together for another full breath. You maybe bring the hands down to help with this transition. We're going to step the left foot up slightly, plant it on a 45 degrees. So that means my left toes are facing the top left corner of my mat. Right leg is going to stay nice and deeply bent as I slowly lift the top body, finding warrior 1. Pinkies are spiraled in, shoulders are away from the ears, suck the belly in, deep bend in that right leg. Grounding through the outer edges of both feet here. Try not to open. Sometimes the hips want to open here. Really try to keep them facing forward. A way to help with that, drop your left hand. Make sure it's forward. Level out your shoulders, and then you can bring it back up. We're here for one more full breath, so take a nice deep inhale. And exhale. Good. Inhale is going to help us transition. So breathe in. And on the exhale, we're going to slice it open to warrior 2. So now my left toes are facing the side. Deep bend in the right leg. Right knee is directly forward or maybe even slightly to the right. We don't want it tracking in. Heel to heel alignment. Gazing off that right middle finger. Shoulders are nice and relaxed. Settle in here. I know that right leg's burning. We're going to get relief in just another 2 breaths. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale for 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. Good. Slowly straighten that right leg. Get a little bit of relief there. We're going to bring it back for peaceful triangle. Left hand down the left leg. Right bicep frames out the right ear. Top body's leaning toward the back now. Now that long line of energy is from the right fingers to the right toes. Walk those left fingers down your left leg. Good. Feel that nice deep stretch for one more full breath. And then simultaneous, as we start to lift the top body, we bend the right leg, right forearm to the top of the right thigh, shoulders stack, hips stack, left arm peels up high to the sky. This is our extended side angle. Good. So you can rest that right forearm right on the thigh. Maybe even use it to gently nudge it open. Good. Gaze can be up at the left hand. If that bothers your neck, it can be down toward the right foot. See if you can get a nice deep bend in that right leg. It's a stretch, but it's also a strength pose here. Good. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, let's bring that left hand to the inside of the right foot. Spiral up on those left toes. We're in our low lunge. We're going to peel that right arm up high to the sky for an easy twist. Good. Now guys, you can stay right here in this easy twisted lunge. If you need to modify it, you can drop that left knee at any point. Or I'm going to offer you, since we took a modified variation earlier, the option to come into a full side plank. So you can roll over to the outer edge of the left toes, stack that right leg on top of the left here. Shoulders are stacked, hips are stacked. Good. Maybe lifting the right leg. Maybe dropping the knee at any point to take it modified again. Always lots of options. Good. This is Vashisthasana, our side plank, and we're here for one more full breath. And then wherever variation you're in, we're meeting back in a traditional high plank. And if we're going to flow, and keep in mind they're optional and customizable, let me go through your options first. You can hold this plank. You can throw in some push-ups. You can go right to down dog. Or if you'd like to flow with me, take a nice inhale to prepare. Exhale, we lower halfway. Inhale, we find our back bend of choice. Maybe it's high cobra where I am. Low cobra where you're just lifting slightly off the mat. Upward facing dog would be just hands and feet to the mat. Good, then rolling over the toes, meeting back in downward facing dog. Good, we get to move through that whole series of poses on the second side. So left leg lifts high to the sky, downward facing dog. We'll take a quick little break after this sequence. So stay with me for a few more minutes. Good. If you did so on the first side, bend the knee, open the hip. Maybe move that leg around a little bit. Good. Squaring off the hips, knee comes into the nose. Angry cat back, hover on those right toes, and then step the left foot in between the hands for our low lunge. Good. Nice deep bend in the left leg, high on the right toes. Good. Settle in here. Now you can keep the fingers connected to blocks, or you can lift them off the earth. Good. Nice deep bend in that left leg. You feel that quad really engaged here, working hard for you to hold you here. Good. And then if you need to bring the fingers down to help with this transition, right toes plan on at 45, so they're facing the top right corner of your mat. And then slowly we start to lift the hands overhead, the arms like parallel train tracks. Pinkies are spiraled in, so they're facing forward. Shoulders relaxed away from the ears. Nice deep bend in the left leg here. Again, try to keep the shoulders square to the front. Good. Nice deep bend in that left leg. Good. 2 more breaths here. Inhale. Exhale for 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. Good. We take that final inhale just to help with our transition. So breathe in. And on the exhale, we slice it open to warrior 2. Right toes facing the right. Nice deep bend in that left leg. Gazing off the left middle finger, shoulders away from ears, heel to heel alignment. Nice and centered on your mat. Nice deep bend in that left leg. It's burning, I know, I feel it too. Let's take 1 more full breath here, and then we'll get that straight leg pose. Inhale. Exhale. Good, straighten that left leg, there it is. And then we bring it back for our peaceful triangle. So right fingertips walk down the right leg. Left toes are facing forward. Both legs are straight. Nice long line of energy from the left fingers all the way to the left toes. Nice side body stretch here along the left midsection on the flank of your body. Good. Let's take an inhale to prepare as always. We move with our breath. And on the exhale, we bring that bend back into that left leg. Left forearm to the left thigh. Right arm peels up overhead, shoulders are stacked. Good. Gaze can be at that right hand or down at those left toes. This is our extended side angle. One of my favorites. I really like this pose. Good. Let's take one more full breath here. Let's take a nice deep inhale. And as you exhale, that right hand's going to plant inside of that left foot, spin onto the right toes. Left arm peels up high to the sky. This is our easy twist. Now, even if you're dying, I doubt, but maybe you are, to get into that side plank, give this easy twist a breath or so. I actually do like a good side plank. Good. Now you know you can stay here. If you want to modify, you can drop that right knee. You also have those same modification and options with your side plank. So if you're going to take that side plank, rolling over the outer edge of the right foot, left leg stacks, this is our side plank, or like in our warm-up, you can drop that right knee. If you want to kick it up a notch, see if you can lift that left leg up for a breath or two. Wherever you are, you have 2 full breaths. Enjoy them. Good. Finishing that final breath and preparing to go back to your traditional high plank, top of a push-up, and knowing your options, taking your choice of a flow or not, moving through it if you're going to take it, lowering halfway through your push-up, but arms nice and close to the body, finding your back bend of choice, rolling over the toes, meeting back in downward facing dog, or not doing any of that if you choose not to. And let's just drop the knees for a moment, take a nice little child's pose. Knees can come out wide, toes to touch. Sink the sits bones back towards the heels. Walk the hands forward, forehead meets the mat. Take just a couple breaths. We don't want to be here too long. We don't want to slow down our momentum. We want to take a little break, come back to our breath. Grab a sip of water if you need to. Then we have one more standing sequence to work through. I have some poses in this sequence that we haven't really done much. We're going to give them a whirl, see how they go. All right. So taking another breath as you grab some water or you are resting. And when you're ready, we'll meet back in downward facing dog. Good. If you'd like to move through a flow to start with a clean slate, you can go ahead and do that. Good. We're going to find our 3-legged dog here again on the right side. So lifting that right leg wherever it wants to go. Good. Bringing the knee in toward the nose. And then stepping that right foot between the hands, finding our low lunge. Good. Just for a quick breath or two, we're going to lift that top body into our high lunge. Good. Come high on those left toes so you can really sink into that right leg. Nice hip flexor stretch here on the left side. Suck the belly in. As always, you can see I'm showing you how I move it. It's like I'm flashing my hands. Pinkies spiral in, shoulders away from the ears. Good. Get a little deeper for one more breath. Good. And then lower the hands to frame out that right leg. And let's straighten that right leg into our wide-legged pyramid pose. So both legs are straight here. I'm on the left toes. Feel free to bump up that foot a little bit if you need to. We're kind of like in a supported split, like we're making our way there. If it's too much, bump that left foot up. Go let the head hang heavy for one more breath. Good. While we're here, if you have a block, you might want to bring it close by. I'm going to show you how to use it for one of our, not our next pose, but the pose after that. And it's an easy place to grab it from. What we're going to do now is we're going to transition into a warrior 3. So let's start with our fingertips down as we shift and lift that left leg hip height. I'm not folding my chest. I'm trying to keep it as elevated as I can here. My body's kind of in the shape of a T. Now you can stay here with the fingertips down, hands to blocks, or maybe hands come to prayer to find your balance. I find that pressing the palms together at my midline helps. Flexing the left foot helps. Finding something small, a drishti that you can stare at, all helps with balance. But feel free to take it modified at any point. We're really only here for another breath or so. And then you can bring both hands if you want down to help with this transition. I have my left hand to a block. We do half moon a lot. We're going to take a revolved half moon here. Left leg still lifted. Left hand comes down as we peel that right arm up high to the sky. Nice little twisted balance pose. Getting a little fancy and tricky here today. If this is too much, stick with your modified warrior 3. Block is a great option here. Good. One more breath. Right hand comes back down. We're going to step that left foot toward the back of the mat, toes facing the top left corner. We're going to find warrior 1 once more. So once your base is set up, arms lift overhead. Okay, one more strong pose here. I like to take a wider stance. So I'm going to heel toe my right foot to the outer edge of the mat. Good. Let's bring our hands down, interlace them behind our back, making sure our shoulders and hips are facing the front. Good. Maybe you stay right here and that's enough for you. Draw those hands down, shine your heart. But we are going to take a humble warrior. If you don't like it, come back right here. If you want to try it, take a nice inhale to prepare. And then slowly we're going to lower the top body inside of that right leg. Let the head hang heavy. Maybe the fist stays the low back. Maybe you have the range of motion to lift those hands off the back. I'm really tight through the shoulders, so mine only lift slightly. Nice deep bend in the right leg. Close the eyes if you need to. Okay. One more breath if you're here with me. Good. Release the hands, frame out the foot. Let's heel toe the foot back into center. We're in our low lunge just as a transition. Step back to high plank. That was some work there, right? Step back to high plank and pick your poison. Maybe you hold this plank. Maybe you throw in a few push-ups if you're trying to get that heart rate going. Maybe you flow by lowering halfway, finding a back bend. Maybe you go right back to down dog. All good. Listen to your body. There's no right or wrong as long as you do that. And then we meet back in downward facing dog, so we can do that whole thing one more time on our second side. So this time left leg lifts for our three-legged dog. The knee comes into the nose. Hover here, engage that core. And then try to step with control, left foot between the hands to our low lunge. Good. Get your base. Left foot's connected, high on the right toes. And then slowly and with control, we lift into our high lunge. We're not here very long. Good. High on those right toes. So you can really melt into that left leg. Good. Take a breath. Good. Inhale. And your next exhale breath will float those hands down to frame out that left foot. And then we straighten the left leg into our wide-legged pyramid, keeping the hips and shoulders square. Bump up that back foot if you need to. Let the head hang heavy here. Getting a nice stretch in the back of that left leg. Ooh, take one more full breath. If you have that block, if you used it last time, it's going to come over on the right side just while we can maneuver it without compromising our pose. Good. And preparing for that shift and lift to warrior 3. Maybe the hands are here to help with that transition. Floating off those right toes, right leg comes hip height. Flex that foot first. Good. Make sure you're balanced through all four corners of your left foot. And then deciding if you want to take a full variation and balance here. Good. Hands to prayer. Find your drishti. Breathe. I find in balanced poses we hold our breaths a lot and it makes it that much harder to balance. Good. Make sure we're not folding over. We're nice and lifted through the chest here. Good. If you had that block, right hand on that block to the inside of the left foot here, and then left hand peels up high to the sky for our revolved half moon. You can see I just lost my balance. The right toes came down. No biggie. I get right back up. Or you can stay in that warrior 3 modified or unmodified, whatever feels good for you today. If you're in this revolved half moon, let's take one more full breath. Challenging pose here. Good. Lowering that left hand. Get rid of your block. You don't need it right now. And then with some support here, we're going to take a step back with that right foot. Toes facing the top right corner of your mat. Deep bend in that left leg as we lift once again to warrior 1. We were here once before. Good. If you took that humble warrior last time, I don't know about you, I really like to widen my stance here. It gives me some more space, helps me square off my hips. Good. Settle in. Let's interlace our hands now at that low back. Really shine your heart. Draw those fists down. Take an inhale to prepare. Exhale, legs stay the same, and we just gently lower the top body inside of that left leg. My eyes are closed. I don't want to get dizzy. Good. Maybe the palms stay connected. Maybe they lift a little bit. Good. Wherever you are, we're taking 2 more breaths. If the humble variation is not serving you, come back to a traditional warrior 1. Good. Let's slowly release the hands. Heel toe that left foot back in center. We're in our low lunge, just as transition, planting the palms, stepping back to high plank, moving through your flow or whatever other option you took this morning. Good. Meeting back in downward facing dog. And then let's walk the hands back toward the feet. And we're actually going to come to sit down. Let's start in staff pose. So we're sitting down. Take a sip of water if you need to. That was not easy. Love to see how that worked out for you if anyone has any feedback. All right, good. And we're going to come into Janu Shirshasana. So just bring your left leg out to the side. Bend that right leg so the sole of the right foot's inside that left thigh. And as always, you'll have lots of options here. But let's start together by inhaling the arms overhead, squaring the top body off toward that left leg, and gently folding forward. Good. So maybe reaching for the foot, the shin, whatever's available to you. Try to keep that right knee out wide. Try to bring your chest closer to your thigh. Try not to have a big roundness in your spine. I'd rather you be further away from the leg with a flat back. Okay. Now, you can stay here if you want to focus a little bit more on the hamstring. If you want to switch up just slightly, you can bring that right arm over the right ear. Now my chest is facing forward. I'm getting a little bit more of a side body stretch here, simultaneously with my hamstring. Just another option for you. Good. Let's take another 2 to 3 breaths here, whichever variation you are in. Good. Slowly our breath will guide us back up center. And we're just going to sweep this left leg around. Now, if you want to take a really modified pigeon, you can just find 2 bent legs here and stay right here, lifted or folded. If you have pigeon in your practice, you can straighten that left leg out behind you. This right leg should be square toward the front of your mat, which I know is really hard. If you have a big gap between this right glute and the earth, grabbing a towel, a couch pillow, a block, just to help get your alignment straight here. And then knowing you can stay lifted, or you can take a gentle fold forward. The forearms are all the way to your forehead. Whatever's available to you. I'm just checking the time. Okay. Good. Settling in for a few breaths in our pigeon pose. Good. Pigeon can be a little bit uncomfortable. You shouldn't feel any pain. Flex that right foot to help with any knee pain on the right. If this is too much, as always, you have options. Stay lifted. Keep both legs bent here. As always, I say it all the time, listen to your body. Let's take our final breath here in pigeon. And then slowly we'll back out of this by lifting the top body, swinging that leg around. Good, bending the left leg, right leg comes out to the side. Sole of left foot now into that inner right thigh. Good, inhale, the arms come overhead. Square, so you're facing that right leg, and gently fold forward. Good, and then just settle in again. Try to keep your back flat, lead with your heart. Good, staying here for another breath. If you took that other option, we'll get there in just a moment. So if you took that side body variation, stacking shoulders, opening the chest toward the front, then left arm peels over. You're still getting a little bit of a hamstring stretch here on the right side, but now our focus is more on the side body as our primary stretch. So again, pick whichever variation serves you better today. What do you need more? Find yourself in both for a few breaths. Wherever you are, we're just here for another 2 to 3 breaths. Good. Keeping the eyes closed, keeping the breath nice and natural, keeping your focus on your body. And on that breath, maybe on your intention for just a few more minutes out of your day. Good. Taking your final breath here as we prepare to lift out of whatever variation you're in. And finding your pigeon pose. Again, knowing a lot of things. Knowing you have options. Knowing that this side might feel completely different because we're not symmetrical. So maybe you start right here with 90-90. And maybe that's enough for you. Maybe you stay lifted or maybe you fold here. Okay? If you did so on the first side, you straighten out that back leg. Let's try to stay symmetrical. Even though we know, like, I have a lot more space here between my hip and my mat as I did on the first side. It's just letting your breath guide you a little bit deeper into this pose. Gently settling in. Don't rush it. Don't rush anything. Don't force anything. Settling in for just a few breaths here. Into our pigeon, into our hip opener for the day. To have a couple more final grounding stretches to round out our practice. Hopefully you are all still with me here. Let's take our final 2 to 3 breaths here in our pigeon. And then if you're lowered, very slowly, starting to lift the top body, coming back to the palms. If you're already lifted, we'll meet you there in a moment. Good. Coming down to sit. And we're just going to gently straighten our legs. And then, with control, lower the top body so we find ourselves lying down on our backs. I'm going to come to the side for a little bit of a better view. Let's hug our knees into the chest. Both of them, give yourself a nice little squeeze. We're going to wrap up our class with a nice little spinal twist. So let's drop both knees over to the right. Right hand to the outer edge of that left knee. Left arm extends out to the side if you have the space. Gaze is off that left arm. Settle in for just a few breaths. Close the eyes. Let's take one more nice full deep breath. So breathe all the way in. Slowly release that breath. Releasing the hand grip if you have it. So right arm extends out to the side. Using your core to bring the knees through center. Dropping them over to the left. Left hand to the outside of that right knee. Good. Gaze is off that right arm. Good. I don't know if you're with me on the playlist. Mine just went into our Shavasana song. That's okay. It's a bit of a longer one there. We only have another few breaths and then we'll all get there together. Go and take one final breath here. Release the hand grip if you have it, bringing the knees back into center. Let's give ourselves one little squeeze here. Good. And then let's release everything out long into our Shavasana, into our final resting pose. If you need to change any lighting, any music before you completely settle in, go ahead and do that. But find a nice, comfortable, relaxed variation on your back. Close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath. Inhale through the nose. Fill all the way up. And then with an open mouth, really let it go. Breathe it all out. And settle in. Taking just a few minutes out of our entire day to try to find that calm, try to find that peace. And after we move our bodies, it's much easier to find that stillness. Hopefully we've released some of that energy. And I'll be honest, for years, I heard yoga teachers say that Shavasana is the most important part of the practice. It's why you move your body to get to this point. And I had a really hard time finding stillness in my body and in my mind. My mind would wander like crazy, but listen, I'm still not good at it. But it's gotten a lot better. Like anything else, with practice, with consistency, with a focus, it gets better, it gets easier. I am able to find some stillness in my body. Mind is much harder. That comes with time. So if you find it hard, that's okay. That doesn't mean you should. I mean, you all could be walking away right now. I have no idea. It's one disadvantage of being online, but I'm hoping that you're giving yourself a few moments of time that you deserve to find this peace and this stillness. So with that, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let you settle in here. We're not here very long. I hope you're still with me. Just keep your eyes closed and keep breathing. Taking just a few more moments here. And I probably say this to you every week, but if your day and your schedule will allow you to stay longer, I highly encourage you to do so. Be honest, if it truly doesn't, in just a moment we'll start to get out of this. We'll start just by inviting some very gentle movements back into the body, but don't disturb the peace you've just created. So maybe just start by wiggling the fingers and toes. Maybe a gentle roll of the wrists and ankles, or a gentle rock of the head side to side with the eyes closed, nice and slow. Let's take a nice full body stretch. So bring the legs together to touch if they're not. Point the toes. Extend the arms overhead if you have the space. If you don't, a nice variation is just to reach for opposite elbows. Suck that belly in. Good. And let's bring the knees in toward the chest. Give yourself one final hug here. And then rolling over onto your right side, finding fetal pose. After Shavasana, we have our moment of a fresh start, of a renewal. And then when you're ready, and there's no rush at all, using your left hand for some support to gently guide yourself into a seated position. Cross-legged. We were here all day today. So into our easy seat. Good. Palms can face up or down, maybe hands to prayer heart center, whatever resonates with you, whatever's comfortable for you. Good. Let's close out class with one collective breath. So nice deep breath here. Maybe the deepest one you've taken all day. Breathe in through your nose. Fill all the way up. Hold it at the top. And then open mouth, really let it go. Like you're fogging up a mirror. Good. I like to end with my hands at prayer heart center, bowing the head toward the heart. Thank you all so much for joining me, for allowing me to be your guide. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you have a great day, an awesome week. Be well. I will see you all soon.